Greetings viewers, and welcome back to a new episode of Titan Repairs. On this channel, we fix our favorite game consoles from our past. My name is Chris, and today what we're taking a look at is a Fat PS2 with no video output. Can we fix it? No, because it's actually right there. But what we're going to be taking a look at is what might be causing it. Is it a chip? Is it maybe a capacitor, something like that? We're going to take a bit of a dive into this and see what we can find, so stay tuned. So in case you missed the unboxing video, here's a quick recap of what happened in the previous video. Alright, so we got, this one's pretty simple, just a couple little things here, and then I mean, you all have seen my unboxing videos most of the time. When I get these things in, it's just a system. And they're usually pretty beaten up. From the pictures I saw on this is the system. From the pictures I saw, we're in really good shape. And now it's time for the main event here. So this is what got me interested in this lot in the first place. So let's take a look. Okay, wow, this is in absolutely pristine condition. So I haven't done anything with this console since it came in. It's basically just been sitting near my workbench. So I guess the first thing we need to do is plug it in, because we're going to do all this live. Yeah, the power port back there does not feel bad. It does grip onto it pretty decently. Alright, probably should make sure that we're on the right AV, and we are. Okay. Let's turn this on. We got a red light, that's always a good sign. We do not have a blue light here, so we might have a chip that's shorted out. I've seen this before. Let's try this again. And now we have a blue light. It doesn't want to do anything. It just blinks. Alright. So I guess we'll start off by taking off the warranty sticker. So this will be, this one, if you remember from the first video, this one was refurbished by Sony. And I kind of believe what might have happened was, back in the early 2000s when these systems first came out, the 30,000 series, which this one's a 30,001, I know that's a little upside down, but they had disk read errors, and they were pretty much, it was pretty much a guarantee you were going to get one. So what Sony allowed owners to do, I'll take this out too. So what Sony allowed owners to do was they would allow you to send it into them, and then you would pay like $120 and they'd send you a refurbished system. I think that might be part of what this is. I think that might be what its history is. That is my educated guess. I might have to do this by hand. I don't think my screwdriver's powerful enough for this. Yeah, so we gotta just be a little mindful of which ones have the longer screws, because there should be 4 longer screws here to get in. We got smaller screws here. There is kind of a satisfying snap going into this. I wonder if they put in like some kind of thread locker or something in the factory. Oh no, yeah, somebody's definitely been in here before. So we got remnants of the original tape, and then they just put this tape on top. But yeah, all in all, it does look pretty clean inside. Alright, and then we're going to carefully take the switch out, make this a little easier for us. Plus, I got to take this fully apart anyway. Just use my plastic spudger for it. And then if you do take it off with a spudger or even like a screwdriver, you just want to be careful of this nub here. because this breaks very easily. Ask me how I know. Alright, the next thing I want to take off is the controller ports here. Just got the 2 screws. And just undo this. And away it comes. Okay, and we'll let's pull this out for now. Alright, now tearing down further, got 2 screws here. Well, I guess for now what I'll do is I'll just undo the power ribbon cable for now. If we can do all of them. And the power supply just got 4 screws holding it on. Okay, it's going pretty smoothly so far. Just pull that up, all comes off. Let's just take a look while we're here. This isn't the year that the power supplies are super bad. I do want to just make sure that nothing bulged, nothing's standing out of anything out of the ordinary. Nah, all looks good. Yeah, I don't know if that Sony tech went this deep down. Because this tape can come up itself with age, and I don't see it replaced, so I think what this thing might have went back to Sony for was a disk read error. Okay, so we have a whole slew of screws we gotta take off here. Just zip these off. Man, I really do need to charge this thing. I am so bad at it. I never show this screwdriver in a positive light. It's always like, it's struggling with these screws, it's this. It's actually a really good screwdriver when you actually charge it. Shameless plug to an affiliate link in the description. Alright, so you just want to keep an eye on these brass ones. The earlier PS2 Fats used brass screws here, but later versions, they replace them with regular screws. And we gotta flip this back over. We got one more screw. You know what I did forget to do? Forgot to take the disk drive off. There it goes. Alright, the laser ribbon cable's still attached, so we gotta be careful here. Usually I just go in through the top, but we're not at that stage at the moment, so I can't see what I'm doing. I didn't even get close to unclipping these. Oh my god, why am I struggling with this? There we go, I think. Alright, we'll just set this aside for now. I don't even know if that laser works or what. Guess we'll just cross that bridge when we come to it. Okay, we should be good. And that one just comes right off. I'm actually shocked. Thermal pad's actually in pretty good shape. Albeit dusty, but it's still pliable. And I'll still replace it anyway, but... And we'll replace the CMOS battery as well. It's always sad to replace them though, because the earlier PS2s have the PlayStation logo on the battery. I've always thought that was a really cool touch. These thermal pads are hard as a rock. Before we dive too much deeper, I do want to check some of the fuses. There are some fuses that are on the AV rail that if they go bad, well, that could be a cause of some of the issues. So, all right, so it's been a little while, but I am back. Basically, in the time I was shooting this, the EcoPro 2 came in, so I prioritized that video. So I am back here with the next step that I am going to do, which is I'm going to be testing the fuses. Now, there's plenty of fuses here on the motherboard, so if you need to identify where a fuse is on the PS2 motherboard, you're going to be looking for anything on the solder mask that says PS and then a number. So PS1, which is this little guy here. So that is a fuse. So we're going to go through. I have the multimeter set to continuity mode. So we have our little beep. So we're just going to go through and check all the fuses. I think PS11 is the only one that's on the circuit that we are looking for. But we'll just test everything. Might as well be thorough. So PS1, that one's good. PS6, good. PS3 up here, good. We got PS2, good. PS5, good. PS7, good. You can also look for a guide online. It'll have like a picture of the motherboard and it'll point out each one, just so you don't miss anything. But I mean, they're pretty much the same between all the revisions. So like I said, just look for the PS whatever and you should be fine. I don't believe there's any up here. We did PS3, right? Yeah, just double check it. Good. I missed PS9 and PS10. Good. Good. PS12, I think we did. I'm getting myself lost here. Alright, and then PS11, which is good. Alright, so all the fuses do appear to be fine, so that is great news, because changing those things kind of is a pain in the butt. And so what I want to check out next is this chip right here. I believe it's supposed to be the BA, let me just double check it real quick. BA664 or something along those lines. So first let's pop this off. Oh boy, this is going to be an issue. Oh my god. Well, at least we're replacing the thermal pad anyway, but yeah, this thermal pad's just like fused on there. There we go. Okay, we'll just throw that out. Okay, it's 664. So what I want to do is I want to check this for short. So I got to pull up a schematic real quick and see what the pinout of this is. So we're going to check it with the multimeter, make sure it's not shorted to ground. Future Chris here. I didn't explain why I'm checking this chip while I was recording. So I'm testing this chip because it is tied to the disk drive. It basically controls the spindle motor. The next chip that I'm going to test controls the laser sled and tracking. If they short or stop working, they could keep the disk drive from working, hence the lack of a blue light earlier. Okay, so I'm going to briefly go over what we're looking at here and what we're going to be doing with this chip. So the service manual I'm actually looking at right now, this actually isn't for this particular motherboard, but the earlier PS2 FATs also use the same chip. I verified that in the parts list in the index here. So this one's actually for a GH013 motherboard, but it does still use the same chip. So what we have here are the pinouts. So we got pins 1 through 28. And basically what I'm doing is checking to make sure that this chip is not shorted to ground. So we have, I see 1, 2, 3 ground pins. So what I will do is put my black probe on a ground, and then we're just going to go each pin and make sure it's not shorted. So if we hear a beep on anything that's not a ground pin, that means the chip is bad. Oh, I gotta also put it in the beep mode. Alright. Okay, so we're good there. And then pin 8 is also ground. Okay, so these 2 pins are ground. So if anything else beeps, this chip is toast and needs to be replaced. So we'll just kind of drag the probe through. Again, that one's good. Okay. So I'm just going to swap these out. Uh-oh. Let me get back zoomed in over here. All right. Start this side again. The pin wasn't shorted, I just hit the ground pin here. Okay, so this chip is actually good. Just for the heck of it, I think this chip is the same. It does, it is tied to the laser as well, since we are having a disk drive issue. I think it's the same chip, but we'll double check that in a second. Okay, so this one's BA58115. And let me just pull that one up. Oh, it's right here. It should be the tilt driver, but let me just double check this because I'm just not sure if the GH13 motherboard uses the same chip. So I'm in the back of the index here where the parts list is in the service manual. So what I'm looking at is IC803. Oh no, not IC803, sorry, IC802. And that is, says it's a BA5815FME2. The E2 part doesn't really matter. BA5815FM. So that's what we need. So we're going to go back to 802. And then the dot here, damn it. So the dot here indicates where pin 1 is. So the two big middle pins here are the ground. And then pin 19 is a ground. So if anything else beeps, this chip is shorted out. Not that I think that this is causing any of our issues, but and that's what we hit there. Yeah, this one's good because I'm hitting that ground pin on the other side. All right, so I think everything on the motherboard is functioning as it should, or at least in terms of the circuits that we need to check. So since this is kind of pointing towards a disk drive error, I think the next thing I want to do is vaguely get this thing back together, but we won't plug in any of the disk drives or anything. So, or the disk drive or anything like that. So we'll see if it boots. So this is going to be the jankiest PS2 that will ever be on my bench. Just plug that back in. This is okay, I guess. We do need the power switch. I'll plug this in just in case I need it. Really going to try hard not to electrocute myself here. And let me turn on the TV. And let's see what we got. All right, so we got the red light here. And obviously we don't have any light for this, but we're still not having any signal. Chips are warming up, so we do have power going to this. Yeah, the motion engine's actually getting pretty hot. The graphic synthesizer's a little warm. Before we go any further, might as well just check to make sure that there's no cracked solder joints. So I'm just going to touch these up real quick. I'm going to turn on my fume extractor that I bought months and months ago, but I've used like once because I keep forgetting it's here. I think that should be all right. All right, let's plug this. All right, so let's plug this thing back in. See if we have any different results here. All right, so we got the red light again. TV's on. Let's just see what happens. Yeah, I don't see anything else. I'm just kind of wiggling the port a little bit. Yeah, I didn't think that that was what the issue was. Before we dig further again, because obviously touching up those solder joints did not help. What we are going to do is we're going to power this on again. I want to see if I can, maybe I was actually thinking about this. This is something I completely overlooked. Maybe the video signal is just not set correctly. So I actually do have my personal PS2 on right now, just so I know which way I'm going in the menu. So we're going to let this boot up real quick. And we're going to go down and X. And then split 1, 2, 3. There you go. 1, 2, 3. X. Left or right. And X. And yeah, that didn't do anything. Yeah, because sometimes if you have this set in the wrong video signal, you're just not going to get anything. Okay, so I kind of took a step back, did a little bit of research, and consulted the official repair guide that is for this particular motherboard that I do have. And I'll have links to everything in the description on pretty much a link to where you can get all the official repair manuals from Sony. So I basically am starting to think, I'm also getting some vibes of the Panasonic 3DO where we had a bad video encoder, but everything else worked. So that's kind of really seeming like that. Now, a little basic research that I did, the graphics synthesizer can go bad, so we have to check that, but it's right here and it's a ball grid array, so you can't just probe in there because there's like 300 some connections. So that could be bad, which would mean either we got to reball it or whatever, but I don't have the equipment for that. So if the graphics synthesizer is bad, then basically this is a donor board. So what I want to do first is take the oscilloscope, and then I want to probe the RGB signals here. So we have, so it goes from the graphics synthesizer into this digital RGB converter, and then the digital video encoder, which then goes into the analog video encoder, which then goes into the AV multi-out. So what's actually really cool about the block diagram here, which shows the relationship of everything, it actually says the pins that I would need to probe, or what everything does, and it also has the pinout for the AV multi-out. Now what I also have from the guide, or manual, is the actual pinouts of the chips, and we got the 3 there, and the location. So the only 2 that I'll actually really be able to probe is the digital RGB encoder, which is IC210, this one here, and the video analog encoder, which is that there, which is good that it's on this side. Unfortunately, I won't be able to do much with the digital video encoder as it's running, because according to the location diagrams, that's underneath the power supply and is going to be very difficult to test. But by looking at the block diagram here, I can test if it's working. If it's getting an RGB signal going out of the graphics synthesizer, I can reasonably assume that it's getting signal in, but I can also pin the probes on the analog video encoder to see if we have signal coming from these. And the important ones too is the sync. If there's no sync coming out of the graphics synthesizer, the graphics synthesizer has a problem, and we might need to investigate that, which could be a bad voltage or whatever. But we'll cross that bridge when it comes to it. So first, let me get out my oscilloscope, and I'll set this back up, and then we'll just start probing. So I need a grounding point for my oscilloscope. I'm going to put it on the side of the AV multi-out here. I'm pretty sure that these are grounds. And I also did kind of realize after the fact, I did not use flux on here, so I didn't reflow those properly. If we get this working, we'll go back and touch that up as it needs to be. So I was just kind of looking at this real quick because I was trying to see where to start off, if I should do IC210 or IC206, but I do see that we have a V, H, and C sync. I think it might be these 3 pads right here. which you can see little solder beads right there. So I do have a good ground. I'm gonna just power this up real quickly. We actually got to move kind of quick because there's no cooling on these, like the fan or heat sinks or anything. So this actually will overheat kind of quickly. So okay, so we're gonna do V-sync. I'm actually just kind of seeing noise. Oh, okay. I don't know what was going on before. I might have just lost the ground there for a second or did something, but it almost looks like we have some kind of a sync signal. Just stop it real quick. Okay, so we have, what is that? H-sync? Yeah, so we got a signal there. Yeah, I see even pulses there. What I'm not sure about is C-sync. I mean, I see kind of pulses, but it kind of looks a little weird. So let's just stop this. Yeah, but I mean, they are even, so I'm going to assume... I'm going to shut this down. I can feel the heat of the chips coming off. So we'll let that cool. Alright, so I do think we have C-sync, V-sync, and H-sync. Alright, so I went to my storage unit and I got a couple boards here. One's, I believe, for 30,001, and then one is for 30,001R, so it should match this board. Well, whether it's the same revision number, I haven't even opened these yet, so I don't know yet. But on my way home, I was thinking about something. I was really actually thinking about the 3DO and how we had audio with that, but no video. So that actually got me thinking, like, maybe the encoder chip isn't the issue, so we might not even need these except for possibly a board swap. So I started doing a little bit of testing and research on my own, and what I ended up discovering in my research is I didn't do the testing of the encoder chip on this properly. So I think in the final video, I'm going to scrap that footage so then I can give, well, not only the closer to the proper information, but also I don't want to bore you all with something I did wrong. So just real quickly, what I found is when I was doing that testing, I didn't have the board in the shielding. It was just out like this. So I was getting some kind of odd readings. And so that's why I decided to lean towards the encoder chip being bad. But I started finding out that the shielding actually does more than just RF shielding. What this actually does too is it's a ground. So once I put this in and then powered it up and put the scope to it, I started realizing like it was actually getting good signals. So I also don't think that the issue with the audio is tied to that encoder chip, and I'll show you later on what I'm talking about, but and why the audio is working. But I think that the signal is bad going to the TV. So let's go overhead. I'll probe the analog encoder and I'll show you what I'm talking about and hopefully try and explain to the best of my ability what we're dealing with here. Okay, so the first thing I want to do is I want to just touch up these joints the proper way. And just for the heck of it, let's just check it. I know what the end result is going to be here, but why not? All right, so the TV's on. Boot. Yeah, I didn't think that was going to do anything. Yeah, TV still says no signal. Okay, so I'll try to explain what I'm about to do here to test the chip the proper way here. So what I want to probe into is CVBS out, which is pin 16 here. Now that goes to, the video line here on pin 7 on the AV out over here. So that'll be over there. So what I want to do is I'm going to probe here to see if we have the video signal going out. That'll be a pretty good indication if this chip is working. But now where along the circuit will it not be working? That's what we got to figure out. All right, so one nice thing about having the shielding here that properly grounds everything is I can actually clip right here onto the ground, onto the shielding. So we're going to turn this on, and then we're going to let this wait for a minute, and then we'll check for the C-Sync signal. It's just tying into a via, but yeah, it looks like we got signal coming in there. It's an even up and down. So what I want to tie into, it's like I was saying, we want to tie into the CVBS out, which is the video out. So pin 16. So we have some vias here in between the encoder and the capacitor. So let me just count which ones we got. 13, 16. So it's the second one in. So I'm just going to put my oscilloscope probe there. Oh, we just had something. Oh, that's right, I moved. Let me come out here real quick. Oh wait, I'm sorry, it was the third one in. So we're going to stop that. And that's the video signal we are looking at. So that's supposed to go to the TV, and then it's supposed to be. I'm trying to remember the exact wording of my research here. So it's got to be a certain range of power, and if it's not powered enough, it won't sync up correctly with the TV. If any of that makes sense. So let's go to pin 7 here, which is the video, and there's the video signal there. So I got to figure out what the power level is here, because I want to show you on the TV that the TV does get the sync signal, it just goes in the black. Now if this is not powerful enough, it's going to stay black. So I want to measure. So on my oscilloscope, it's saying peak to peak is 456 millivolts. It's supposed to be a total of 1 volt peak to peak. That's what I thought it was. So we are not getting that. We are getting about half that. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to go back to where we found that signal. So I'm going to stop that. And yeah, that's close to the 1 millivolt. That's coming out at 840 millivolts. So that's probably correct. I mean, I don't think it has to be exactly 1 volt for the TV to read it. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but yeah, so that's pretty much what we're looking at here. Okay, so basically what we've ruled is that the video encoder seems to be working properly. We have a video signal going out. It is making it to the connector. Now we got to figure out where along the line we are losing that signal, where it's not getting amplified enough to make it to the TV to output a proper signal. So this video signal goes out to a resistor here, RB296, so we can check that, but that's on the other side of the board. But it also goes into this capacitor 268. That's a coupling capacitor. That's right here, or rather right there. And then it goes into a ferrite bead, and then into the AV connector. Now I will just say that the ferrite bead is fine. I did test it off camera. It's totally functional. So we probably are looking here at this capacitor. Now there is one other thing I want to show that is kind of leading me towards that. Okay, so I'm going to power this on again because it overheated. But right now it says no signal. Even when I turn it on, it says no signal. Now I think the last time I saw this on the camera, I think it said about 2 minutes. So yeah, I'll kind of do a jump cut at about 2 minutes. So see, now it's reading AV2. So yeah, now the signal is going to the TV. It's just not outputting the proper signal. So obviously the picture is now black. So that should happen pretty much right away. Now the only thing I can think of that's on this circuit that's preventing this from fully functioning is that capacitor. So what I want to try, it's a trick I've seen online where if you heat the capacitor, sometimes it'll give it enough to work temporarily. So we're going to give it a little heat. I'm at 250 degrees Celsius. We'll just see if this does anything. I don't think it will, but worth a try. Yeah, no, there's no change there. And then I do want to just probe before and then after that capacitor. So yeah, actually it did drop down. And that's going into the capacitor. Let's try that again. Because it also wasn't the video signal that we were seeing. Actually, the signal's not correct now. So to circle back on the audio, I know I didn't really explain that. So really the reason that we're probably not getting audio too is because we're not having the full-on signal going to the TV. But I do believe there's an audio signal because when I probe the digital audio out, or the optical out pin, yeah, it looks like we have an audio signal, or at least some kind of a signal. Pretty big signal. So let's see. I just don't understand why this video signal all of a sudden looks bad. Okay, so the system overheated again. So real quickly before we wrap this up here with my final thoughts, I do want to probe the resistors because it does seem like that's the next thing after the encoder. And that's the only thing I can think of that might be dropping that signal down. So I'm just going to check to make sure. I believe according to this it's supposed to be 75 ohms. One of them, there's two of them here. This is a little fuzzy, but from the printout I think this is 298, but we'll just double check. Yeah, 75. Got nothing there. 75. 75. 75. 75. Nothing there. You know what? One of them is to a ground, so that's probably that one that was open. So yeah, that's good. Maybe it is a capacitor. So yeah, I think that's a little weird that how we lost that signal there. I wonder if maybe this thing overheated one too many times. I'm starting to lean towards this maybe being a donor board for the future. I mean, I do still have these two I could do a board swap with, so worst case scenario, this PlayStation will still be able to function. I'm sure people are asking, well, why didn't I just swap out a capacitor and see what happens? Well, I could take them from these, but these boards probably work, and I'd rather have some working backup boards in case of a situation like this. So I think the next step I want to do, I do want to try the capacitor. Like, I do want to see if we can revive this board, even though I am leaning towards just doing a board swap. But yeah, I mean, I think it's worth giving it a try for the sake of science. So I'm going to go ahead and order some of those, and we'll do a follow-up video on this and see what happens. And other than that, I think that that's as far as we're going to get today. So thank you so much for coming along with me on this video. Like, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And I'll catch you on the next one. Bye-bye for now.